Coming up on Network Africa, the World Health Organization declares Mpox a global public health emergency due to a new variant of the viral disease in Africa. Sudan warring factions absent as the first day of peace talks conclude in Geneva, Switzerland. Plus, the UN mission in South Sudan warns of a perfect storm brewing with regards to its humanitarian and economic outlook. Hello and welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us at this time. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Equatorial Guinea, where President Bola Tinubu and his counterpart, President Teodoro Obiang Nguema, have signed a landmark agreement on the Gulf of Guinea pipeline project, paving the way for increased economic cooperation and development between both nations. The agreement, signed in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, outlines key measures for the gas pipeline project, including legislative and regulatory frameworks, ownership and transit of natural gas. As contained in a statement by the Special Advisor on Media, Mr. Ajuri Ngelale, President Tinubu hailed the agreement as a significant step towards opening up new opportunities for gas exploration and employment, while also emphasizing the need for African nations to work together to promote peace, stability, and prosperity on the continent.
Concerning Africa, conflict and conflict resolution that were discussed. We discussed various areas of conflicts, mechanism, and what are we to promote in hunger. United Nations Assembly, promote peace and stability for our continent, and growth and prosperity for that same continent in the same way that Europe and Americans have helped themselves and find a solution for the conflict, the continent, both inadequate capital, industrialization effort, research and development programs that will enlighten our people and navigate our way through problems. Instead of crisis, conflicts that is bothersome in Republic of Congo and others, we have to look inwards to solve these problems for ourselves.
To health matters now, the World Health Organization, W.H.O, has declared an Mpox outbreak in parts of Africa a public health emergency of international concern. The highly contagious disease, which has killed at least 450 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, has now spread across parts of Central and East Africa, and scientists are concerned about the speed of spread and its high fatality rate. A previous Mpox public health emergency declared in 2022 was caused by the relatively mild clade 2. However, this time it is the far more deadly clade 1 that is at play. There have been almost 14,000 cases of Mpox in the DRC this year alone.
Met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. I have accepted that advice. The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of Mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported Mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying. In addition to other outbreaks of other clades of Mpox in other parts of Africa, it's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stop these outbreaks and save lives.
Dr. Jamiu Ganiyu is a public health physician, chief consultant epidemiologist at the Department of Public Health, Federal Ministry of Health, Abuja. He joins us now on the program for more on this. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time.
Thank you for being with me this afternoon.
Doctor, we are seeing 4 countries now for the first time having Mpox. Does the fact that the pox is hitting these countries change the dynamics for them, and should their response be any different?
Well, it has to be different, realizing the fact that it's a new variant that has high level of transmission. So there is that urgent need to actually intensify surveillance as much as possible so that more people will not be infected. And looking at the nature of spread of Mpox, you believe with me that the children are more vulnerable, and especially the immunocompromised. So we need to protect our children. Those are the people, there's a new generation of people. So we need to actually work as fast as possible, our advice, in that country, so that those children, many children, will not be affected. I think they need to actually take a very decisive action to contain it as much as possible.
Well, in practical terms, what would you say the response should look like?
Okay, yeah. Looking at the epidemiology of the virus, it can be spread through direct contact, through mother to child, and also through sexual intercourse. So the first thing to do is to intensify surveillance. And as part of that effort, the community need to be engaged. There should be proper awareness, sensitization, so that people can be able to identify and report on time before it gets out of hand. That is that aspect. And also, they need to build the capacity of health workers. It is coming for the first time. They are recording such kind of situation in such country for the first time. There need to be capacity building. That's the training of health workers, surveillance officers, so that they can identify and refer appropriately. Also, since there is availability of vaccine, which WHO has even given approval for that, I will advise that they take care of they vaccinate the vulnerable group, those people that are high risk of getting Mpox, which is those the key population, and men who sleep with men. So I think that is very, very critical if such kind of step is being taken, meaning that the high risk group need to be provided, need to be vaccinated, meaning that there should be an urgent logistic to ensure availability of vaccine. And also, in terms of case management, it's also very important, realizing the fact that the children are more affected, the women are also more affected, the immunocompromised are more affected. So there should also be availability of antiviral to ensure that whoever comes down with the virus is properly treated. And as I've said, they need serious risk communication in that environment so as to create appropriate awareness for people to get aware, especially in terms of the symptom, mode of transmission, and so I think is very important.
Well, the Democratic Republic of Congo is one country that has been battling Mpox for years. Statistics say the country have been having this for more than 10 years, and it gets worse, every year. Is there any hope that the trend would reduce rather than increase?
We hope so. The beauty of it is the fact that there is availability of vaccine, and also there are some antiviral that can be used to treat individual persons that are infected. So I think there is hope in the sense that if there should be proper community awareness sensitization, and also there is also need that the community needs to be carried along. There are in many instances, when there are new kind of infection, people attribute all sorts of myths and misconception. I remember before now, about a few weeks ago, I saw some pictures on Facebook where people were saying people are developing rashes as a result of a kind of was it spaghetti that was imported from another country. So I think there is need for proper committee engagement, create proper awareness, and carry people along. I think with that, there is hope that there can be a remarkable achievement in terms of control in that country.
Doctor, we also understand that, the viruses mutate, but does this have anything to do with human behavior?
Well, yes, because before now we don't have the 1B, so we're just and it's a zoonotic disease started from animal to man. So and now we're now having woman to woman infection. So I think as far as it is a viral infection, there is that likelihood of mutation. We say is something that is not new. But and again, looking at the more people being affected, men who sleep with men, it's not like HIV, right? So there is that possibility of more mutations. But the greatest thing, the only weapon we have at the moment is the fact that we have vaccine, and as well as we have some drugs that actually can be used to treat whoever comes down with the infection.
All right, doctor, just before I let you go, for the countries that, are not that unaffected so far with Mpox, what advice would you give to them, the governments and also individuals?
Yes, for them to intensify surveillance. For instance, for Nigeria, because not that Mpox is new to us, Nigeria is one of the countries that is endemic with Mpox, but we are not used to the new variant. So for now, we need to intensify surveillance at the point of entry, which I want to think we've started already with the use of health declaration form. Anybody that's coming to country need to be screened for the common symptoms, fever, flu-like symptoms, and so on, possibility of any rash. I think those are the areas we need to, we need to actually intensify. And apart from intensifying surveillance, we need to be aware, as I've said, resensitize our health worker. The last time we had was 2022 and 2023. We need to actually put everybody on board in terms of creating, building capacity on surveillance. And also, we need to make provision for in case somebody comes down with it, where the appropriate place such individual need to be referred to. So these are some of the things we need to, and also we need to get prepared to ensure that we have availability of vaccine. I'm aware that Nigeria, I don't want to quote about 10,000, we're expecting about 10,000 vaccines so that we can take care of the vulnerable groups, which are men who sleep with men, which I think is also a very good step. And also to ensure that for those that eventually come with it, we have provision of drugs that we use to actually take care of people like that. But I still believe with proper awareness, creating awareness and so on, to help, especially in case detection.
All right, then.
Maybe in the committee, you notice anybody having symptoms, we'll be able to, inform the appropriate authority so that such person can be linked to appropriate treatment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jamiu Ganiu, consultant epidemiologist at the Federal Ministry of Health, Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's check in with the war in Sudan. Fresh peace talks aimed at ending the 16-month war have started in Geneva, Switzerland, although neither of the warring sides were present at the negotiating room. The U.S., which is leading the talks, insisted the event continued regardless of their absence. Tom Perriello, the U.S. Special Envoy for Sudan, said that in the absence of both sides, the other parties would move forward with the negotiations on everything they can do to make sure they get the other people in Sudan are getting food and medicine and civilian protection. Well, previous peace talks in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain have all failed. Delegates from the U.S., United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the African Union, and the United Nations were all in attendance at Wednesday's ceremony. The Sudanese army, said it would boycott the talks several days ago, while the paramilitary Rapid Support Force delegates went to Switzerland, but at the last minute, they said they would stay away from negotiations. Welcome back to the program. Turning to the humanitarian situation in South Sudan, Nicholas Haysom, who heads the UN mission in the country, warns that a perfect storm is gathering, an impending crisis due to chronic food insecurity, spillover from the war in neighboring Sudan, and political uncertainty. Meanwhile, the permanent representative to the UN South Sudan, Celia Adeng, says the country remains steadfast in its commitment to the revitalized agreement on the resolution of conflict.
A perfect storm is gathering in South Sudan as regards its humanitarian and economic outlook. This is reflected by a protracted humanitarian crisis founded on chronic food insecurity, a spillover of the Sudan conflict into South Sudan, resulting in the movement so far of 750,000 refugees and internally displaced people.
South Sudan remains steadfast in its commitment to the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in South Sudan and the roadmap that extended our transitional period. While we have made significant strides, including the allocation of funds to the National Election Commission, the Political Parties Council, and the National Constitutional Review Commission, we recognize that benchmarks for holding the elections still need to be fully met. We are working diligently to address these challenges and reiterate our dedication to ensuring smooth and inclusive electoral process.
Well, preparations are underway for a possible meeting between Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara and his predecessor, Laurent Gbagbo, who now leads the African People's Party. The two leaders have not met since 2022, and it's been months since they last communicated. Various envoys are making efforts to facilitate this meeting, which is said could happen soon. According to local sources, a preliminary phone conversation between the two leaders is expected in the coming days. Côte d'Ivoire will be holding its presidential election in October 2025. Several opposition leaders recently held a press conference demanding electoral reforms and inclusive political dialogue before the next presidential election. The Independent Electoral Commission has scheduled a review of the electoral register from September 30 to October 31. In the meantime, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has met with his Somali counterpart, President Sheikh Mohammed, in Cairo, discussing countering terrorism and Somalia's security. A military cooperation protocol was signed between the two countries after discussions. Egyptian President el-Sisi said in a news briefing afterwards that he supports Somalia's efforts in combating terrorism, securing the country, and ensuring its stability. Somali President, on the other hand, said he is very proud and committed to the new defense agreement that was signed by both countries. Let's head to South Africa now. The Chief Executive Officer of the Development Bank of Southern Africa, Boitumelo Mosako, has emphasized the importance of the bank's strength for the region's development. Mr. Mosako made these remarks at the bank's 2023-2024 Integrated Annual Results presentation in Johannesburg. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Samosa, was there and filed this report.
All of it. DBSA says Africa's need for infrastructure development and economic development in Africa is not only crucial but also a pressing necessity. The bank has delivered a net profit of $404 million. The bank CEO, Boitumelo Mosako, emphasized the bank's mandate to promote economic growth, human capacity building, and sustainable development across the continent.
We are here to promote economic development, growth, human and institutional capacity building, sustainable development projects and programs in the African continent. Now, when we started off, it was not like that. The DBSA was initially only in South Africa, grew to Southern Africa, and in the last 13 years, our mandate was extended to sub-Saharan Africa.
South Africa's Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo praised the lender for making an impact in the region and promised to create a conducive environment for entities like DBSA.
So one of the things we do is to make sure that we've got the right people in right positions for some of this. So is DBSA, that's why they are performing well. And broadly as government, what we're doing in growing the economy, it's a lot.
The bank's CEO, Boitumelo Mosako, says the strength of the bank is important for the region.
The strength of the DBSA is important because that is the foundation of DBSA to execute on its mandate and execute on its strategy in accelerating infrastructure development.
With challenging economic climate across the continent, are there any challenges that can stand on the way? Mosako explains.
You know, challenges are there. There's economic challenges, the levels of unemployment, the levels of inequality. But therein the challenges lies the opportunity.
The National Treasury says it is optimistic about the continuation of the DBSA's good performance. Meanwhile, Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo emphasized the need to address the challenges faced by struggling municipalities. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
The littoral countries of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS Commission Zone E, has reiterated its commitment to improving information and communication strategies among member countries. The navies disclosed this at the just concluded week-long launch of the Maritime Security Operations, codenamed Safe Domain 3.
It's an operation which began in Cotonou, Benin Republic, seeing the deployment of air and sea assets from Nigerian, Togolese and Beninois navies to curb criminality in the Gulf of Guinea waters. Participating ships and helicopters are on the high seas for 4 days, carrying out simulations and also preventing criminally minded persons from having access to the maritime space. Highlighting the gains of the operation, the Multinational Maritime Coordination Center Director, Commodore Anyedi Bok, notes the importance of harmonizing communication systems and involving maritime operational centers, MOCs, in future operations. But there's more.
The essence of Safe Domain 3 is that MMCC Zone E will pull together resources of the member states of Zone E. So they bring their ships together, helicopter, then we try to make this equipment work together. Having in mind that we speak different languages and the source of this equipment are different. So as we operate together, we tend to harmonize this equipment and persons together. So this has been a huge success because yes, we started with teaching problems, but towards the end, we harmonized and the communication went fluently and the exercise went completely well, the way we saw.
Commanding Officer, Defender Boat Abuja, Captain Idaheset Udoesien, who led all participating platforms to sea, outlines the operation's overall success despite communication challenges and technical disruptions. He also recommends the continued investment in advanced surveillance technology, strengthening communication infrastructure, and regular joint exercises to improve maritime security.
The highlight of this occasion was the anti-piracy operation, which was conducted on the 6th of August, which involved the insertion of the special boats element forces using the Nigerian Navy helicopters on board DB Abuja.
Representatives of both the Togolese and Beninois navies expressed satisfaction with the outcome of the operations, noting the need for harmonized communications plan.
During these 4 days, Operation Subdomain 3 was conducted successfully, and it was done in a combined way with means and assets deployed from the navies of Nigeria, Benin, and Togo. And it, in fact, is just a beginning of the operation, which will last during the 12 coming months until we start the next Chief Operation Domain 4.
The operations objectives are threefold: to combat maritime crimes through equipment, training, and intelligence sharing, to promote information exchange and cooperation, and to create a secure environment for maritime commerce, thereby boosting trade and economic growth.
The Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency and its Ogun State counterpart has held a sensitization exercise against open defecation along the Lagos-Ogun State corridor. The General Manager of LASEPA, Dr. Tunde Ajayi, and the Special Advisor on Ogun State Environmental Protection Agency asks residents to stop unhygienic behavior and to keep the environment clean.
The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is a major highway plied on a daily basis by motorists coming inward and out of Lagos State. The road infrastructure completed last year has been misused by some citizens who have no regard for environmental hygiene. How best to tackle the improper sanitation behavior along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway corridor has led the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency to clean up the polluted area. At Berger bus stop, Inward Lagos, the General Manager of LASEPA warns the people to desist from open defecation.
We're instituting an enforcement protocol so that nobody on this stretch from Lagos, or from Opik in Ogun State all the way into Lagos up until Tedola Bridge, nobody comes in the middle of the road to defecate. In enforcing that rule, we have also made sure that we engage people who run the public toilets. There are several public toilets around here. There's one right beside you here, right? And these public toilets run from 9 to 5. So what we have done now is to see if we can engage them, to stretch it a little bit so that they have night shifts. And then all of the people who defecate in these corners will come up to, to use the public toilets that have been made available for them by government.
The Special Advisor of Ogun State Environmental Protection Agency also joins the awareness exercise at Berger, asking the people to utilize the public restroom provided by the government.
Our intention is to create awareness and also educate our people so that they can use that particular toilet. And the government will also continue to ensure at least we provide additional more toilets and we create awareness. As you can see, that in Ogun State, the governor tackled this particular challenge by renovating our primary health care center, our primary school. You can see across Ogun State that is what the governor is doing to address this. In a matter of months, the people at Kara were going to relocate them to Ogere so that the population at these houses will go down. With that, definitely to go a long way to address the challenge we have.
Lagos and Ogun State government says they will work together to clean up the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway corridor and curb environmental menace.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.